Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Smith for Litter Media Live, special edition. Today, we have Ross County Commissioner Jack Everson joining us for a quarterly visit from the Commissioner's office. Our interview today presented by Litter Quality Propane. There's no bill when there's a fill. Contact Litter Quality Propane today about their metered gas service at litterpropane.com. Back with Ross County Commissioner Jack Everson. Jack, we'll get right to business. The future of what used to be the Citizens National Bank, later LCNB, that is now a county property. The prosecutor's offices, administrative offices are in there, but there's some discussion about making a change.
Right. That facility was bought a number of years ago by the former commissioners, and they got it for a really good price. And the idea there was to have a centralized campus of all government offices and try and reduce the spread of the offices throughout the downtown. So a lot of the other places could be made into income-producing storefronts. So the idea is to move the prosecutor's office over to the courthouse, so that would be an entirely judicial building, and then have the LCNB Bank building be the new county administrative offices. So there's a number of options to that. One thing that we're looking at is to relocate the administrative offices either into the Folk Block or into the maybe Big Bear building down in Central Center, and combine that up with the service center. And that would centralize the administrative offices, it would centralize the judicial system, and then the building that was the old LCMB building would be either revamped, it would be sold on the open market, or it would be made into a parking garage for downtown, a 3-story parking garage. So that would solve a number of issues and still unify the efforts of the administrative side of the county government.
And when we were talking earlier, you said that was built in 1959. The way especially the upstairs, the way the rooms, the space downstairs with that big open area, it's just not ideal for a lot of different offices.
A bank usually isn't. Usually they have a huge lobby downstairs with offices around the perimeter, and our offices just don't work that way. Mm-hmm. So we would have to do major renovations, both upstairs and downstairs, because the upstairs was rebuilt by our maintenance team to conform to the needs of the prosecutor's office. So the commissioners would relocate upstairs, probably the auditor and treasurer's department and recorder would be downstairs. Mm-hmm. And we would have to take it from there. But the entire inside of the building would need to be redone. There's some hemorrhaging of environmental things with the building itself. Being built in 1959, a lot of things have not been updated with mechanicals and things like that. So it's going to be an expensive affair to utilize that building, and that therefore we weigh the option to just demo it and do something else that will help downtown.
And you thought maybe by the end of this calendar year you would have a decision?
We'll have a decision, yeah.
Speaking of downtown government-owned buildings, the Ross County Law Complex, which houses the jail, administrative offices for city police and Ross County Sheriff, that was built in the early 80s. I know there's been some discussion about possibly moving that outside the city limits. What's the latest on that?
Well, that's a capacity concern. We've dumped a lot of money into that complex, which is totally out of place for our historic downtown. And having criminals housed in the downtown area just isn't a good fit for the culture of our downtown. So we see that as a number of wins. Currently, the jail can hold up to 150 inmates a day. Usually it's around 120, 130. But the capacity of keeping people in there throughout all layers of crimes committed is an issue with recidivism in the city and in the county. People get let out and they just commit the same crimes over and over again. So that's not good for us. It's not good for our reputation. Putting it out on the fairgrounds perhaps as an alternative site with a 220, 250 inmate capacity would serve us a lot better and keep people off the streets.
Obviously, the current location is right next to the courthouse. There are a number of hearings that inmates have to attend or be a part of, but with technology as it is now, some of that or a lot of that can probably be done remotely.
Remotely, or just it's just a simple van right away. So the transportation of visitor or of inmates is something that they do in the prisons when they come up for hearings and whatnot. So being out there just a little bit farther out of town would follow the same route. So that with technology and transportation, we could handle that.
The current county budget, most of that comes in via sales taxes. Is that correct?
And county taxes
Yeah.
is the main one, yeah.
With the current surplus that we've had on occasion, we've had a number of releases from Auditor Lehner where the commissioners agreed to some I guess rebates or refunds or whatever. I'm not sure.
It's a reduction in the property tax rate. We had a 3.1% property tax rate. The increases on property tax are entirely the evaluation of homes in the community. Everybody's house is worth more than it was even 3 years ago, and that's resulted in a dramatic climb in property tax. And that's something that's very not concerning not only to our commissioners, but commissioners all across Ohio. They feel the sting in that along with everybody else and are looking for answers. But we made a decision last year based on Auditor Lehner's input that we could take the property tax in Ross County from 3.1% down to 2.4%, and that takes effect this year. So that's immediate relief, albeit it's not putting things back to where they were, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. We are the only county in Ohio that has done that. So we want to keep affordability at the top of tongue when we talk about Ross County and invite visitors to come in and visit us and people to move in and live here.
I know the state legislature has been talking some about, property tax, whether to lower that from their perspective or what they would allow. Does that work hand in hand with what you're talking about on decisions that you make?
Well, our decision came before that, and this is a recent bill that's come before the House, and it's targeting on eliminating property tax. Well, property tax pays for county services. It pays for local services. It's the sheriff, it's the jail, it's the courts, it's us, it's the health department, jobs and family services. We touch so many areas with our funding that and the townships, they pretty much survive on property tax. Just to eliminate that and not speak to what would replace it is irresponsible, I think. You're looking at going back to caveman days when you don't have road maintenance, you don't have streets plowed in the wintertime. I mean, so many things are touched with property tax dollars. Now, I agree that we have to do something to give the taxpayers some relief to this. And I was in a meeting with Vivek Ramaswamy here this week, and he mentioned that a cap on taxes, on property taxes, would be an option. And maybe that goes back below what we've experienced with the ascension of the property values. We have an interesting situation in Ross County where the auditor's done a good job in reevaluating the properties and keeping that current, but former administrations in the auditor's office have not moved on the commercial taxes, property taxes, since 2007. In a lot of cases, unless a building was sold and the grandfather of that was worn off. So we have that laying out to do by 2026. And how we implement that and the shock value of, going from tens of thousands of dollars in value to millions of dollars in values in some of these buildings. And this affects Kenworth. It affects a lot of businesses in downtown. We certainly don't want to have a wholesale closure of businesses in Ross County. So this is something that we're faced with right now, and we have to take a look at that. So there's a lot of varying factors and elements involved in this property tax issue that we're still talking about and evaluating and seeing how we can lower the burden on the taxpayers, because that's what Republicans do. That's what we're all for. The how is the more important feature of the what. So we have to figure that out.
In light of development, that discussion, let's talk about farmland, agriculture. Of course, a lot of people have been upset about the electrical companies bringing in the solar panels, farms, and taking up prime farmland. Commissioners sometimes weigh in on that as to whether they approve that or not. So
Well,
what's your thoughts on that?
We have to approve that, and that's why we've taken a moratorium on more solar farms are not coming to Ross County right now. And the main reason for that was the solar companies made some promises to the landowners, the farmers that sold their farmland, and we want to see how those work out in real. There's been so many snake oil deals made that haven't come through. We want to make sure this is as profitable for the landowners that they were led to believe. And then we also want to see what it does to the soil. Is there any chance for drainage and rainwater runoff from these panels onto the ground that would do something to the soil that is unrecoverable? So we need to see those things too. So we're having a test of time right now, a moratorium on solar farms, more solar farms coming to Ross County, and just taking a test of how that works out.
Along that line, as far as things that happen out in the rural areas, oftentimes the discussion of zoning has come up. I think out of Ross County's, 16 townships, there's only a few townships that have zoning. But that's something that's left up to the townships. The commissioners have no say over that.
A good segue into that, because the two townships, Deerfield and Buckskin, have zoning because of the solar farms.
How about that?
So they
Coincidence.
wanted to keep control on that, and that was a smart move by them. But the zoning is not anything that the county commissioners have any authority in. We cannot mandate zoning. The townships are the only ones that can do that, and I don't know many township trustees that want to cross that road. So we're not here to tell people what they can do on their property, and they bought it, they own it, they can do what they want there. The building codes was a feature back last October for new housing development, and that was so to make sure that everything was built to code and nothing was going to blow up or catch fire during the middle of the night.
To conclude, Jack, in relation to townships, there have been a number of townships in the past couple of years that were moving in an effort to try to come up with some kind of a countywide fire EMS service to make sure that everyone was getting service. A lot of volunteers, they're not where they used to be years ago. There's just a lot of townships that can't get the volunteers because of work commitments or what have you. And where is that now?
Now that has evolved. We came in with the countywide EMS philosophy, and that was a byproduct of some consultants that we hired that have done this throughout the United States. And we just wanted to test how that settled with our local fire departments, our local township EMS, and just trying to reduce the response time. We were having some people have to wait an hour for an ambulance to show up, and that's just unacceptable. So what has developed out of there, Jeff Creed, who was the former City of Chillicothe fire chief, took the helm on that and has done a great job getting the townships to talk, and has established sort of district mutual aid agreements. And that's a great first step. Funding a countywide EMS system is in the millions and millions of dollars. And to have the people work together and rely on each other with the current equipment, with the current layout of facilities, has reduced response time in the county as a whole pretty significantly. So we'll take little wins along the way, leading to whatever that looks like. Maybe it stays like that. Maybe we enhance other things. Maybe we joined other fire districts in other counties and approach it from a regional level. That is all laying out ahead of us. But the development of the work is working, and we're pretty proud of what Jeff's done with that.
Good information, Commissioner. Thanks for being with us today. Look forward to seeing you or maybe all of the commissioners one day that can join us.
I think we'll do that next time, and that'll be a good session. Thanks,
all right.
Mike.
Ross County Commissioner Jack Everson today with the special edition of Litter Media Live, brought to you by Litter Quality Propane. I'm Mike